If you guys need coins for the new Fut birthday promo, make sure you check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code REMA, you can get yourself a nice 5% discount. So what's up guys, my name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, we're going to be looking at the 4-3-3 fourth variation, and I'm going to be showing you guys some custom tactics and player instructions that you can use. I do apologize in advance if this video in particular seems a bit rushed, because today is my birthday and I hope you guys can understand. I don't want to be sat recording all day, so I hope you guys can understand that. And yeah, with all that aside guys, let's get right into today's video. So starting off with the custom tactics guys, for the defensive style, I like to have this on balance. This is because it gives you the most control in your defense, where you're able to press when you need to press and you're able to drop off and be more conservative when you need to be. So balanced is super important to get the much needed control over your defenders. Now moving on to the defensive width guys, I like to have this on 47. This is so we can primarily defend in a narrow shape, but at the same time we've still got enough natural width to cover the wide areas too, so it is very nice and balanced. Now for the depth, I like to have this on 60, so our defensive line isn't super far back, but at the same time is not too high either, so we're not constantly getting pinned back and we're not always getting through balled because of a high line either. It's very nice and balanced, where sometimes we can sit a little bit deeper and other times we can win the ball higher up the pitch. Now moving on to build-up play guys, I do suggest using this on balance. This is because it is the most suited for all types of FIFA 23 gameplay. As you guys should be aware, there are so many different types of gameplays you might experience, whether it is fast gameplay, slow gameplay, laggy gameplay. There's so many different types of gameplays. Balanced is the most suited for all of those types. Something like fast build-up is very good when the gameplay is quick, but as you guys know, it very rarely is, so balanced is the most consistent by far. Now moving on to chance creation guys, I do suggest using direct passing. This is because it makes your attackers bunch up against the defenders, meaning you're able to do those very overpowered isolation plays, which are not possible with the other chance creation styles. Now some people don't actually like direct passing, and that is fine, and if you don't, I do suggest forward runs. I think that is the next best thing, where your attackers push further into the opponent's half. It can be easier for you guys to create chances. That being said, you do get counter-attacked a lot more using forward runs when you lose the ball. Now moving on to the attacking width guys, I like to have this on 50 because it is very balanced, as it is bang in the middle. This is so our players don't get pulled out too wide, because although it is a wide formation, we don't always want them hugging the sidelines, as everyone feels a little bit disconnected from each other, and we don't want it to be too wide, and we also don't want it to be too narrow either, because then it doesn't feel like a 4-3-3. So we kind of just go for something in the middle with 50, as it allows the formation to play out very fluently. Now moving on to players in box guys, I like to have this on about 6. This is so we can get some players into the box to create chances, but at the same time we don't overcommit our entire team to the point where we get counter attacks, so it is very nice and balanced. As for corners and free kicks, we have these both on 1 because there is a corner kick routine that I use which requires both of these to be on 1. There is a link to that in the top right hand corner of the screen. Now moving on to the players you want to use guys, in the striker position I do suggest a nice well-rounded striker. This is because you have to compensate for the fact that there is only one striker in this formation, and you have to make up for the fact that there is one instead of 2. So you kind of have to get the balance that you would get in 2 strikers all in one player, which is why we go for a nice well-rounded striker. As for the wingers, you're going to want good wingers. You're going to want players with pace, players with skills, players that can cross, pass, shoot, basically do a bit of everything. You're not going to want to use slow trucks in these positions, as you're not going to get the most out of the players. Now moving on to the cam guys, I do suggest a nice technical player. This is somebody that is nice and agile, so they're really able to work those angles. You need somebody with a decent passing and shooting ability, as well as being able to control the ball. Otherwise you might struggle, because this player is the main playmaker in the team. Now moving on to the left centre mid, I suggest a more defensive midfielder. This is somebody that's going to stay back and add extra security to the attack, and it's just useful to have somebody that excels in their defensive game. The ideal work rate for this player is a medium high, but in a formation like this, a high is also okay. Don't stress too much about work rates, it's just something you should aim for. Just go for a nice defensive player in this position. Now moving on to the right centre mid, we actually use a more box to box style player. This is somebody that is going to be attacking and defending for us. So we're going to want somebody that is nice and well-rounded with good attacking and defending stats, as well as being like a high work rate, so you do get the maximum contribution in attack and defense. But again, like the left centre mid, don't worry too much if you can't get the perfect work rates. It's just something you should aim for. Now moving on to the fullbacks, I kind of like to go for a balance between the two, where I have one more attacking minded fullback in Roberto Carlos, somebody that is a bit better on the ball, and then I have one more defensively solid fullback in Cafu. So this is somebody that may be a little bit better defensively with the extra strength and physicality, but they might lack the on the ball ability. That's just a balanced dynamic that I like to go for. You guys don't have to copy that. As for the centre backs and the goalkeeper, these just need to be as good as you can possibly get them. There is not too much to say there. Now moving on to the player instructions, guys. On the striker, we just have him on stay central. The only important real thing is stay central, because we don't want this player drifting off to the wide areas, as he is our only striker, so we always need him to be in the central areas, so he is always in the correct positions. We have him on mixed attack because we don't just want this player running in behind. Sometimes we need him to get more involved in the build-up play in the attack. Sometimes we might want him to hold up the ball, for example, so it's better to have him on mixed attack so you get more out of this player. Now for both wingers, we leave them on default settings, but the only thing we put on them is come back on defense. This is just to make the formation a bit better defensively and give us a bit better defensive width, because if you look at this formation without these wingers defending, you'll notice there is quite a few gaps in midfield, especially down the wings, which are easily exploited. So by putting both of them on come back on defense, they come back to make this defend almost like a 4-4-1-1, which just makes it a better defensive shape. When we win the ball back as well, they're going to be closer to the rest of the team, meaning building up the play with these players is also going to be easier. We don't want to restrict anything else on these players, because we kind of want them to have the freedom to do whatever they want, because they're like winger style players. We don't need to restrict them as such. Now moving on to the cam, we just have him on completely default settings. The reason we do this is because, like the wingers, we don't really want to restrict this player all that much. We want him to be able to do a bit of everything, and by putting specific instructions on, we restrict him a little bit too much. Now moving on to the more defensive midfielder, we have him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. We have him on stay back because obviously he's the defensive minded player in the team, so we don't need him going forward and contributing to the attack. Stay back while attacking means he's going to stay out of the way and add defensive security. Now moving on to the right centre mid, the more box to box style player, we have him on completely default settings and cover centre. Now the reason we have him on default settings is because we don't want to restrict this player. He's a box to box player, so he's going to attack and defend for us. The only important thing is that he's on cover centre, so he is covering those central areas. Now moving on to the fullbacks, we have them both on stay back while attacking. This is because we don't always need these players to go forward. This formation is already quite wide, and we mainly use our fullbacks when the formation is a narrow one, because we need to add the extra width. But because this formation is already wide, we don't need to commit these fullbacks forward, so we can just keep them on stay back while attacking to make the formation a bit better defensively. As for the centre backs and the goalkeeper, we just leave them on default settings and we don't touch them. But yeah guys, they're my custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-3-3 fourth variation. If you guys have enjoyed or found this useful, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.